Welcome to BYOB. Now is the time to build your own business and push your brand forward. Join us each week for fresh, innovative strategies to bring your brand and business to new heights. Call in at 888-994-4995, Studio B. Now let's get to the show.
Hello. I'm your host for today's show, Natalia Levy. Welcome to BYOB, Build Your Own Business, Bring Your Brand, so that we can talk about it and come up with phenomenal strategies to help you grow, to help with visibility. And speaking of visibility, I have an incredible guest for today's show. Her name is Michelle Lewis, and she is a visibility vixen. So let's bring her on and I will tell you a bit about Michelle. She's fantastic. So Michelle Lewis is a visibility and publicity expert who helps entrepreneurs skyrocket their visibility, launch their unique show strategies, and start landing press for their brand with Hollywood techniques found in her Visibility Lounge. So I love all of this. I just want to keep reading. The Queen of Visibility, founder and CEO Michelle Lewis, is a leading authority on color psychology. So today, that's actually one of the biggest things that we're going to be discussing about is how businesses can utilize color psychology in their messaging. Love that. You will absolutely love the show. So while I'm talking, doing the introduction for Michelle, you might want to get a pen and a pad because this show is going to be packed with so much information. So Michelle has helped thousands of entrepreneurs land their dream features and impact their ever-expanding audience with her techniques. So Michelle's journey began in 2016 when she left Hollywood and started with her first ebook, which became an e-course, which became a steadily growing brand. She lives in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, with her husband, her pug, and 3 ducklings. The ducklings, oh my gosh, and can be found in her garden or fresh brewed iced tea. Welcome, Michelle. I'm so excited to have you on the show.
I'm thrilled too. Thank you so much for having me. I can't wait to dig into what we're going to be talking about today.
So you and I are both dog mamas. I actually have a Samoyed.
Oh, do you? Oh, I love it. Yep. My pug Oliver is cranky and protective and very high maintenance.
Oh. Well, that could be a whole other show where we can chat about dogs and how dogs have been so pivotal for us as owners to relax during this time and spend more time with them, and they just love us so unconditionally. But that is a great conversation for a whole other show. So today we're going to talk about, and I'm so excited about this, when you and I had a conversation before the show about using color, and especially now during the pandemic, how businesses may not be even thinking about how to really utilize color psychology in messaging for their businesses. But we will get to that. So before we actually start talking about that, let's just learn more about you. So Michelle, can you share a little bit about your Hollywood background and how you came to creating your business, The Visibility Vixen? I love that name. It's so
absolutely fun and Thank you. Yeah, I actually grew up in Hollywood. My dad was a director producer. My mom was a casting director. So that was my life growing up. I was traveling the world, going on different movies like Face Off and Wind Talkers and Mission Impossible 2 and 3 and Star Trek. So that was my life until then I got into it myself for my own career. And I did that for about 10 years. Worked on some great shows like Pretty Little Liars and I Didn't Do It and Chuck. And then the reason why I made the transition was because I've been really working hard on my own pilot. And I wrote the script, I shot the pitch pilot. We put so much hard work. We had this wonderful premiere. We pitched it to all these studios. And I remember sitting on set one day and seeing an article from Variety pop up on my phone. And it turned out that one of those studios had taken my idea and concept and not given me credit, not attached me. So it pretty much, in all actuality, stolen it. And I had this feeling that was, I can't ever let something I create be taken out of my hands again. So that's what led me to writing the ebook that became the e-course that became this brand visibility vixen. And I spent so much time not being seen in this industry that it made me dedicate my business to helping other businesses get seen with these techniques that I had learned in Hollywood.
Wow, what a story. And I actually know some of those shows and I have watched them. I know my husband and I would really love Chuck. What did you do on that show?
I was a stand-in, so I worked for Yvonne, the lead actress, and I would take over for her when she wasn't on camera. So they would use me to rehearse the lines and the lighting and the camera positioning and all of that. So I was in very high heels every day because she was in very high heels every day.
Oh, that's so fun. So you really understand the behind the scenes mechanics of visibility. So the first message that I read from you was that you were able to pivot and double your business during COVID. Can you share more about that?
Absolutely. When it first started happening, especially if you're a heart-centered business, you're trying to figure out what your customers are feeling and what they're experiencing. And at that time, it was a lot of fear and insecurity. And so I knew that the best way for me to serve was going to be to actually, the main moneymaker in my business is my membership, the Visibility Lounge, was to cut their membership fees in half. So I actually cut my entire business in half and just said, we'll see what happens. We'll see if I make it. I don't know. But I didn't feel right continuing to keep it at the rate that it was, knowing that it would have to be a struggle. I didn't want people having to choose between paying for the Visibility Lounge and like buying groceries. You know what I mean? So I cut it in half and I didn't lose any members, which I was shocked by. They were all so excited. And then I actually doubled my membership because so many people were coming in because it was a lower price point. So that's what I did.
Wow, that is amazing. So I know that from the perspective of planning out your sales numbers for a year, and a lot of us, I know we have two family restaurants, and you create this certain business projections, and depending on the profit margins of where the businesses are, I think that it's still amazing to be able to adjust some of the numbers. So for us as a restaurant, we have done family meals and meal kits to create a more affordable options. And I think that it's so important for us as businesses to really get in the position of other people that we're working with, and really come at it from their perspective, and what are people able to spend right now, because it's so hard to plan out. So it's absolutely extraordinary that you just slashed your prices in half, and by doing that, you have so many more members in your lounge. I checked it out. I checked out your website. I went in there. It looks really, really interesting. I love it. So now you teach about a fascinating topic, the power of color in the brand. So how color psychology can attract the ideal clients subconsciously. I love that. So right now we know with a lot of the businesses are trying to, some are not even open, but the ones that are opening up and the ones that have been trying to think of the right ways to create the messaging. How I didn't realize how important color is in the messaging. Can you just share all about it, and maybe we can give some examples of different colors that businesses should be using, or maybe even should not be using?
Absolutely. I think this is the place to start with any business. And I don't care what industry you're in, it should always start with color. And I don't know if anyone is watching or listening now. If you watch commercials, I'm sure you do in some way, shape, or form. And so actually one of the best places you can see this happening every single day is in medication commercials. I don't know if you've noticed, but certain medication commercials, everyone's in yellow, or the entire background's in green constantly, or everyone's dressed in purple. And there's a strategic reason for that. And I'm not saying like, hey, go out there and buy the drug, of course, but I'm saying they have this concept down. But what's interesting is that a lot of businesses don't, because they haven't studied this. So for me, it all started when I launched my business for the first time, and I branded as teal because it was my favorite color, and I made no sales. And I felt really frustrated, and I thought, okay, instead of like going the normal business analysis route, I'm going to think back to my time in Hollywood. And I thought about the big movies and how the production designers would change the backgrounds and put characters in different colors. And so that led me to studying color in film. And then at the same time, I was studying natural medicine. So I was learning about like how the body interprets color and what different colors resonate in different parts of the body. So I put together a little chart and figured out what each primary color meant on screen and what it meant to the body. And I was like, well, that's interesting. I think the first motivating factor that I have for my students is to help them feel motivated in the first place, motivated and energetic, and to build trust. And since that was blue, I decided to use blue as my brand color. I did a new photo shoot, and all of a sudden people were responding to my sales page and to my website and to my social media. And I was going, this is crazy. Like, could it really be this simple? And I recorded a brand video in my signature brand color and pitched it all over the place. And I was booking interviews without having any logos to my name or like anything behind me. And so that's when I really started understanding that this was very powerful. So I'm happy to chat about what some of these colors mean, but the basics of this is the definition of branding. If you go to businessdictionary.com, is how we are looked at through a customer's mind. So our brand really at its root, and you can verify this with Story Brand with author Donald Miller, who used to be a screenwriter, funnily enough, but our brand color has nothing to do with us. Our brand color should always be decided on based on our customer or our ideal client. And that's when everything usually changes, is when you make that differentiation in your mind.
This is blowing my mind, and because whenever companies work with brand consultants and then everything, and I know when I was thinking about the colors for my brand as well, for my culinary education company, Healthy Intent, it was okay, well, I'll go with green because green is the color of wellness. But I never thought about looking at the color from the perception of how would the customers view me. And so it's the same way, you know, I went intuitively with the color that I thought that would work, that would resonate, but I didn't think about what kind of emotions the colors would actually evoke in the customer. So this is absolutely, I think this could be life-changing. So I think that a lot of companies are going to be potentially rebranding.
I hope so.
Would you actually
make them more money?
So do you recommend, so businesses right now are looking at growing or visibility, and they already have their logo and their color scheme on the website. So would you say that consider rebranding, consider changing your color scheme?
Well, and a lot of people think that you have to have your website branded, you have to have your business card, all that stuff. I think it can start as simply with what you're wearing and what you're putting on social media and what you're putting out in your newsletters or, you know, your storefront or whatever. So, you know, if you're focusing right now, if you've had to bring your business online, maybe you can't be in your store right now, just consider changing the color of your top and see what that does. If you're live streaming or sending videos to your customers, or if you're announcing a sale, maybe that social media graphic that you're creating test that new color, see what happens. Like there's little ways that you can do it without having to face an expensive total rebrand, because that might not be very practical right now.
Right, right. Well, that's such great advice and totally something that people can take away. So, especially like now, let's say if we talk about small businesses that are stores, let's say a bakery, or if somebody owns a laundry service, or if somebody owns a construction company, and they want to or a retail place, right? Let's just stick with retail for now. So for owners of retail stores, and they want to help their customers feel more comfortable about coming into their space, right? That it's clean, it's sanitized. So are there specific colors that would create that trust?
Absolutely. The first thing that I would caution you about is the use of the color red. Right now, that's a little bit of a dangerous color to use. And it's not, there's amazing intention behind red. It's the color of creativity, of artistry. It can be really, really powerful. So, for example, when I'm talking about public speaking, I wear my secondary color, which is red, because it prompts people to take action and to get creative. But the other thing that you have to know about red is that it is more stimulating. It can raise your heart rate, your blood pressure. It makes the pupils dilate. So if you're having that be your primary brand when someone's walking into your store, may not be the best idea right now. It's going to make them elevate their stress even more. Colors that can really increase.
Do not use red. No red.
Don't use red if you can help it. Otherwise, maybe soften it up with some white banners. I don't know. But colors that do help signify trust. Number one is blue. That's the color of trust. That's why you see people in blue scrubs. That's why, you see a lot of news networks that have blue. It's because subconsciously it calms the blood pressure. It calms the pulse rate. It makes the eyes relax. So you feel very relaxed and calm when you look at blue. And on screen,
I'm sorry to interrupt, but I never even thought about that you made such a great analogy to the doctors and nurses, the scrubs being blue. Because my sister, both her and her husband, they worked in a hospital, and now it's all connecting, that it's a color of trust. That makes so much sense. Thank you so much. Oh my gosh, this is
it's
fascinating.
It's really fascinating stuff. On screen, it's more of an intellectual color, but they go hand in hand. Trust, intellect. When you see people that are especially reporting on like scientific data, usually they're in blue, and that's because of that. So some other colors, if you're not attracted to blue necessarily, if you don't think that's going to be right for your brand, you could go with a color like yellow. Yellow symbolizes hope. That is the color of moving forward into the future. And in the body, if you care, it resonates in the pineal gland. So it can be a really great color for you to symbolize like, hey, no, we're moving forward. So if you have a bakery, a retail store, whatever your small business is, and that's more of the message you want to convey, then you might want to use a color like yellow. And the last one I want to hit on is orange.
Yeah.
Orange is all about balance. So orange is a beautiful color of balance. On screen, it's seen as the sweet and sour color, but you pretty much feel much more relaxed and at peace with orange. A lot of times in television, if we're wanting to show that we're shooting in another place in the world, but we're actually shooting in Southern California, we'll actually put a lens in front of the camera that has an orange-yellow tint so that you feel like you're going somewhere else in the world. So it's a really interesting color, and I think it's one that is not used as much as it should be because it resonates in the pancreas and it just symbolizes balance mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. So that's a really powerful color too.
Wow, this is fabulous. So do not use red if you can.
If you can.
Focus on using shades of blue, right? Is it shades of blue or just straight up blue?
Blue is
And
pretty easy. You can use any shade. I'd be more cautious when it came to using green, just because green can be more of it's technically called the split personality color because it can be like the skin of the
oh,
Wicked Witch or the skin of, not the
wow.
skin, but like green grass or like beautiful, forests and stuff. So you just have to be careful with your shade with green.
Hmm. Wow. So blue, shades of blue, yellow, and orange. Great, great tips, great advice. So, Michelle, you are a visibility vixen. So, when we think about creating visibility for businesses, what is that visibility? What does it actually mean? What does it represent?
Absolutely. So, because people tend to get a little bit confused with the difference between visibility and publicity, they tend to use them interchangeably. Visibility is what you're doing to attract traffic, subscribers, and customers. And so that's pretty much what you're doing in terms of your advertising and your marketing and getting people in the door, reaching out to people via email and coupons and ads and all that stuff. That is your visibility because the number one goal is to have it affect your revenue. Publicity is what you're doing to be seen as the expert in your field. This is when you're guesting on
Mm,
podcasts or possibly getting featured in a local newspaper, or getting a guest segment in, I don't know, Entrepreneur, Forbes, Small Business Magazine, whatever it may be. So that's the difference there, if that makes sense.
that makes a lot of sense. One actually helps direct with revenue and possibly, and the other establishes you as the authority, right? Um,
Exactly.
so, but so the question that I have around that. So typically, I know with the perception, with the visibility, when we think about, and maybe you can help clear this up. So I know for a lot of businesses to be featured on a TV show or be featured on a talk show or something like that. I know it's prestigious. It's something that I know to hang out with celebrities and or be an interview by somebody who is very well known. So typically that the perception from business owners is that, oh my gosh, like that's going to immediately make me uh, be out there, and it's prestigious, and it's going to drive sales straight to my business. Um, so most people think that it's absolutely impossible to get on the talk show, and but is being, there's this. So getting on a talk show is hard on a national, something big, right? But is that something that people should strive for? Is that the type of visibility that would really make a difference for businesses, or should they go a local route? Like, what's the best way to go about this?
Sure. So when it comes to TV segments, that is publicity, not visibility. And so the primary goal of that
Okay.
is going to be to establish your expertise and to be seen as the
Mm-hmm.
go-to expert in your niche, and whether that's a carpet cleaner or jewelry or whatever it may be. And so in that case, the way that I would start with that is I'd be looking at different places in my area. I'd be looking at
Mm-hmm.
newspapers. I'd be looking at local TV segments, and I'd be really figuring out how can I present my business with a different angle. So like, for example, there's a lot of visibility experts out there, a lot of marketers,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of publicists. You could have interviewed anybody. The reason why you liked me is because I was able to say, well, what do you know about color psychology and branding, right? It was an interesting spin. So if you can look at your
Mm-hmm.
business and let's say you're a carpet cleaner. Well, there's a lot of carpet cleaners out there, but what makes you different? Do you use all green
Mm-hmm.
products? Are you so thorough that there's never a stain left behind? Like, figure out what's really unique about your business. Maybe you give back. Maybe you give 10% of your revenue to go into low income housing and clean their carpets for free.
Mm-hmm.
Just figure out what's really different about you and your brand, because then what you can do is put together what's called a pitch. And this is where you're
Okay.
emailing the editor of the magazine or the TV segment and saying, hey, I'm really interested in coming on for your segment about blah, study the show, make sure that it's applicable, and then give them those unique talking points to increase your chances of booking. This may directly impact your sales. Wouldn't that be wonderful? But the main goal of the publicity is to be able to get the word out and to have you be seen as the expert. Whereas you already have things going on in your business visibility wise, you're publishing videos, you're emailing your list, you're advertising online to bring in that revenue. So then you can increase that and your credibility by pursuing publicity.
Okay, this is such a big differentiation. So when people think in terms of visibility, it is presence on, in basically being present in front of their customers or potential customers, right? Which can be done via a good variety of different outlets, where they can be done through social media, through newsletters, through how would businesses go about finding that perfect outlet to create more visibility for themselves?
Absolutely. I like to call these visibility vehicles, and you can do it in a variety of ways. Let's say that, like, if we were talking about your business and you were trying to figure out, well, how can I get my my name out there a little bit more and have people understand what I do and attract more traffic? I might say, well, let's have you publishing a blog every week on your website. And let's also put a video and attach that to the top of the blog. And we're going to take that video and also put it on Facebook, on Instagram, on LinkedIn, and on YouTube, just to increase the searchability. And I love doing blogging because that has so much search engine optimization. Every word that you're typing into your blog is something that Google can grab onto and be able to have you be seen as that result, which is what we want. And then I'd be like, okay, now let's focus on your social media presence. So let's take clips of that blog and put it on Instagram and put it on Facebook to populate your content throughout the week. I know this can feel a little bit overwhelming, but you can do that with a live stream, a blog, a podcast, or a video. The important thing to do is to decide, what are you going to do to get your message out there on a weekly or every 2 weeks basis, so that you can start building that audience, building that traffic, getting people onto your newsletter so that they'll purchase from you.
Well, this is such great advice. And what I'm hearing from you is two things. Number one is consistency, to be consistently present. So setting up that schedule of posting, whether it would be every other day or once a week, but making that commitment to consistency, to consistent communication with your audience. And then another thing that I heard, and you say, or my interpretation would be, is to create, and what we have done actually is to create sort of a theme potentially for the week or for the month, and then create that content, but repurpose it so that you don't feel like that you have to create so much content, that you have to write a separate blog post for the blog post, and then something different for your Facebook page, or something different for your Instagram or Twitter, or wherever it goes. So think in terms of creating this one piece of good piece of blog post, piece of information, something that would be relevant to your audience, and then repurpose it, break it up into different chunks, and then use those chunks as quotes, create little you can create quotes for Instagram, right? Those are popular, right? Am I getting this correctly?
You're getting it perfectly. That's what I do. I create the blog, I shoot the video about the blog, and then I take paragraphs from the blog and schedule them to go out on social media. So I'm not reinventing the wheel. I'm creating one piece of content, and I know that that's going to last me for 7 days because I'm driving traffic to that blog, but I'm also taking snippets of it and putting it on all my social media channels. And that way it's very easy, very hands-free, and it's built for the long haul because I have that content living on my website. So every time someone types in visibility expert or visibility publicity, or, how to start a YouTube channel or whatever, I'm ranking on Google so that people can find me.
That's awesome. Michelle, we have about a minute left. So if you were to give this one piece of advice on people who are so shy to put themselves out there, to talk about their brand, what advice would you give people? How can they start, and how can they find you as well?
Start with color, find that primary brand color. It's going to be so helpful for you. And then just choose one thing and just try it. It never hurts to just try. And we're in a time in the world where things are changing. So you're going to have more flexibility to adapt and change and strategize now than ever before. And if you need support, if you need help, if you want to share how much you love this episode, you can find me at visibilityvixen.com.
Michelle, this episode was absolutely phenomenal. So many great tips, so much value. Thank you so much for coming on BYOB today and sharing your expertise with us. Thank you.
Steaks Glam Bar is an award-winning family-owned restaurant with 2 locations in Florida's Gulf Coast, Lakewood Ranch and St. Armand Circle. A New York-style Italian clam bar, Steaks offers fresh house-made pasta with homemade marinara sauce that runs on 3 speeds, sweet, medium, and hot. A wide variety of delicious fresh seafood, craft cocktails, all joyfully served in Prohibition-style decor, have made Steaks Glam Bar a favorite destination for locals and visitors alike. Our unique approach to accommodating guests with dietary restrictions has made Steaks one of the favorites among doctors and health enthusiasts. Bring your family and friends to Steaks today or get takeout. Our teams are always happy to welcome you.
Thank you for tuning in to BYOB. Join us next time for a fresh perspective and innovative strategies to building your own business. If you are a successful business owner with tips to help or would like more information from our hosts or guests, please contact us at 866-224-5422. See you next time.